Good morning, everybody. Let me get a little more coffee and we'll be ready to rock and roll. Hey, everybody. So let's get to a couple of these names. I'm going to start with the ES and then we'll get started on this. I think the best thing that I could say to you about the way that the market's acting today is that you need to focus really on the fact that buying breakouts is just not working. And nobody wants to hear this today because everyone's all excited because they're like, this is it. We're really going to go. I don't know that you are. I mean, I truly don't know that. I see you getting the levels already, and I already see you rejecting those levels. So I'm not so, giddy on what I'm seeing up in here to get up into all this. And I already see areas of interest where you're probably going to wind up, hitting and rejecting. But, I don't know that. And quite frankly, nobody really does. But there's an area like right up here where you'd probably hit and not have too good of a day. So I think the most important thing, I could probably take this alert off because we did flip it. I think the most important thing, let's just get rid of that line completely because I don't even think I need that. Or I'm just going to go here and edit that alert to delete. There you go. How about that? I'm just not convinced that you need to rush into this. I'm really not. I'm not convinced that you have world peace here. And I think you have to be super careful. I think you're a tweet away or something away from having a really bad day. It's just the way that it's been. The time to buy is when everybody's puking. And we came down to that 6,000, and I had a little alert there, and it hit, and that was great. And this is really what you're looking for, like the up and then the down retest, and then it rips. And that's really what you want, up, down, retest, and then goes. I mean, it doesn't really get any cleaner than that, really, does it? From 1 o'clock to 1:30, just at straight buying, like there was literally nothing to do from that level. That's really what you're looking for here. And then last night, he's like, good news, world peace. You might want to mark off the world peace tweet level, because the thing about that was, Iran was kind of surprised that they agreed to peace. And apparently this morning, Trump's kind of laying into Israel already. So I think there's some things there that I would definitely be real cautious about it, just assuming that we now have world peace. That's really where my head is. That 605.77. Look how you hit that. Where'd that level come from? Let's go back and look at that bad boy. Yep. So yeah, right top of Itchy's top level. So, and here he comes again, right in time. Guess who's back? Back again. And so obviously this is not accurate, but when we're looking at something like that, there it is again, and we're just not breaking it. So, and that's the top of where he spoke on December 18th when he cut rates, and he did not remember why he cut when he cut rates. So, or had a real good reason for why he cut rates, which is just kind of laughable. I would say you're being very orderly on the downside, and you are getting a little wicky. So it does lead you to believe that you might start curling back up. And I think you have to watch that very, very closely, as to how this actually plays out. And I don't think there's, a tremendous amount. That's so annoying when you get those dumb bars like that, isn't it? And just like screws up your beautiful chart. Like, it's just so crazy, so exhausting, really. But you probably want to watch the gap fill, and you certainly are going to want to watch, your level again here Monday at 6 o'clock when we did get world peace. And really, where's your key levels? This is a real level, like to me, where you tried to break out, you failed, and then you rallied, failed, and then you boom, like that's a real level. The manipulation after hours is just kind of laughable at this point. Like, it's so obvious. So, if, we have one more issue that we create and then say, good news, we solved the issue that we created. It's just freaking exhausting from a trading perspective. But what you have to do, and, if you're in the community, I've been saying this for a long time, you already know, you gotta put yourself in a position where you have dry powder during this, because you're going to get more, world peace, more liberation, and you're going to get it. And you're going to get it for a period of time. I don't think it's going to be 3 years. I think he's got till, what are we in, June? So you have 18 more months of like liberation and world peace tweets that are going to matter. And then after that, it's not going to matter as much, because you're going to have a different Congress. So, and not saying who's going to be in Congress or out of Congress. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is they don't have to worry about being primaried anymore in 18 months. Like, he can't keep throwing, I'm going to primary. It's like, it's over, boomer. Like, it's done. We're in. So now we can do whatever we want. And that's a very different spot for him, where people don't have to, listen as much. And I'm sure he's aware of it. But for that period of time, you have risk, and you have headline risk, and you have tweet risk, and we just do. So having dry powder, understanding that, that's out there, and there's going to be more liberation tweets and more like world peace tweets and more we're going to war and everything else. So you're just going to have it. You're just going to, you're going to be dealing with it a lot. These are your main levels. That's really where I think that you should focus on. If you had to pick another area, you should be able to see this right here and how you're trying to battle that area, that 533.76. I would actually look at it as more of a range, because it's really tied into that as well, that 533.19. And you're kind of in there, and you keep bonking around in there. One would actually could even argue it's just 533.19, but they're the areas that I would really focus on. And again, if you break out, cool, groovy, but you need to break out. And I think retail is going to do it in the morning. I do. I think retail will get giddy in the question is just who's behind them and who wants to buy for 2 days of, Powell speaking. Like, they're going to hammer him, absolutely hammer him. Both sides are going to hammer him. And I think that's really, really something that we have to think about. Like, how's he going to handle that? Republicans are going to hammer him because he didn't cut rates. And they're going to worry about the jobs. And then the other people are going to hammer him because I don't know why, they just are. So, for whatever reason, I know they're getting rid of all the climate stuff. So maybe that'll be why. I mean, the Fed should have nothing to do with climate. It's so stupid. But when let's get rid of this for now. Let's get rid of that. But when we look at this, it doesn't look like bad, but you're getting up to these levels and then you're just constantly pulling back, and you have some structure here that you'd have to get through, but I don't know what's going to keep you up here. And if this is what world peace got us, and this is the most news that you have, like what's the impetus to get involved? And that's really how I say it. Like, okay, so now we have world peace. Now what? Now what do you do? What else do you have for me? So, you can't keep having these issues and then correcting the issues, and then think the market's just going to rip on the same issue that it didn't have 2 weeks ago. It's not going to work that way. You might see a short covering rally, but is it sustainable? I don't think it is. I have a bunch of names I could go over, but I didn't take a lot of questions yesterday. So I actually think it might be better just to take a bunch of questions. Look, you're already at 17 on that bad boy. So it's going to be an interesting day, to say the least. They do want to move some of these names, but I love this hymns. Like, people actually think that this thing's going to go higher today. Okay. That could have another bad day. I have so many names I could go through. Let's take questions. So lacking, yeah, it's just not pushing enough. It's interesting because that hit a screen today. I'll tell you that. This hit a screen today, and it's really interesting the way it's acting. So I think you have a huge short position there. And I don't think from a trading perspective, from a swing trading perspective, you probably don't want to sleep on this. And it's definitely one that's on my radar for sure. It's definitely out there. The volume yesterday was good, but it's way better than it looks. Way better than it looks. On a percentage, like the easiest way for me to explain it, it's way above my level on a percentage basis by like way over that. I don't think it's over if I put a 50 on it, but it's way, way over where it needs to be for that to be of significance. So yeah, you're setting up here. Now, you never know what you get on earnings. I mean, earnings could be great. It could not be great, but you're coming in at that August level with it. You'd have to worry about it. You have a neckline here, man. And the question is, do you get through it or not? You'd have to really look at the short interest and dive into it. I personally think when you see this kind of stuff, like right here, John, as long as you're, above something like that, you probably want to look at this sucker and see what it does. And I wouldn't sleep on it. That's for sure. Like, that's a pretty big move out of that base. And that's a 2-year base or something, right? 24, 25, 18-month base. And that's really what it looks like. So, it's hitting everyone's 52-week high scan. And it did yesterday. It actually hit everyone's 52-week high scan on Friday. But when you look at it from that perspective, I mean, you don't have to go back 5 years like I do, but when you just kind of go back over a year and you look at it, yeah, it's a pretty big breakout. And it's usually a huge short. So it's definitely worth paying attention to. And it's definitely on my radar. So I would not sleep on that name. It's definitely of interest to me. It's just kind of, you have to figure out how it trades, really. I tried it a couple of times and it just was a nightmare. Like, trying to get in, trying to stay in because it's so freaking thin. I have tried it in the past and it's just so hard. But when that gets going, man, Yeah, it's a real pickle for those that are shorted. Defend, I'll leave it. I'll leave it at this. I'm not so sure that you have world peace right now. That's where my head is with it. I actually look at this and say, do I want to be out there? Do I want to be a net buyer of this stuff today? Just because, and I'm not taking sides on this when I say this stuff, but just because he says that there's world peace doesn't mean that Israel's going to stop doing what they feel that they need to do. And if they do, Iran's going to come right back at it. So it's definitely an issue. His stance on this stuff seems to me like he thinks he's going to make some kind of proclamation. And then because he does, like, that's it. And if we learned anything, and I think that's what you have to do here with any of this stuff, we've had these kinds of proclamations on Russia, Ukraine, and how'd that go for us, right? So that didn't go very well, did it? And I'm not saying it for any reason. I'd watch that whole area right in there. I just colored in green. And because that's really where you'd want to pull back to. You'd want to pull back anywhere in here to really get involved. But I think you have to think about it from that standpoint. Like, oh, just because you make a proclamation, man, doesn't mean that all of a sudden these Middle East tensions are going away. So maybe it takes more than that. And I don't know. I know he's already irritated. He was already on TV talking about how irritated he is. These kinds of names, they're all moving. I want to go through this because it's interesting. But I say it, I don't know, man. Like, go for it. It's not my kind of trade. It really isn't. It doesn't mean that you're wrong. But if I was going to do this, it would have been back here because I would have had this RSI divergence on the 4 hour. I would have bought down here and just stayed with it. It's just not my kind of trade. Now that I'm overbought on a 4 hour on the RSI, I look at it and go, where am I going? And this is probably the easier money, but you're probably going to like here, probably going to the top of there. So there's probably 4 or 5 points there, probably pretty easily, right? Up here somewhere. But it's not really my kind of, my trade. Like, these bore me. Like, I get bored. And then it just takes days and days and days to see if it's going to work and if it catches or not. It's just not my kind of trade. I do get it. I think you're out of pocket here. Like, I think risk versus reward doesn't make sense. I see them all too. Like, I see them all. They're all going. Like, okay, ELF, right? Okay, good. But I get it. I see them all. Like, earnings were good, and then you're moving. I actually bought this this day, and I just kicked it recently because I got bored. But that's my problem with these kinds of trades. I just get bored with them. But you gapped up, you did great, and then you went sideways, and then you retested this level, and then I bought it here, and I just stayed with it, and then I got bored up in here, and I just kicked it. But you look okay. I think you came to a moving average too, right? Yeah, you broke your 12, and you're still above the 22 and you're above that level. It's up to you what you want to do with it. It is a reversal point here, but I guess what gets me about these kinds of names is this, John. Like, if I could tell you where my issue is, it's like, okay, there's 115. That's your stop, right? Because you'd have to break that level, and then I'm here. So that's $8. So I need 2 to 1 to even consider that trade, right? So that means that if I'm going to buy that sucker, let's call it 9. We'll call it 9 with slippage. All right, so $9. So I need 2 to 1 is $18. So that means I need $18 for this to even be worth doing, which puts me at like 142. And so that means that I got to get up to here, right? Somewhere in here for me to even want to do that trade, which is probably doable, but you're going to have a problem here. So I just look at it and go, do I really feel like going through that for months to make that? And that's my stop. And my answer is no. No. I'd rather wait for something to happen and find another way in. But that whole space is on fire. I'm not really sure why. Well, you just got to hold here, but 1222 crosses and buying into them, they're not optimal. What's up, Alan? So the PLTR, I see it. Everyone's getting excited by it. I don't have any interest here at all. I see it. I see all those levels. I have it all marked off. Wake me at 126, 41, 48. If it gets there, great. If it doesn't, that's great too. I don't feel the panic that I have to own this thing up here. I don't see any real like edge in it at this point. Like if it falls apart again, cool, let's look at it. But if you're just going to sit here, like, why do I need to be in this? All I'm getting are breakouts and wicks, met by massive selling. So it doesn't really appeal to me for anything more than like a day trade. Crowd, yeah, like this kind of stuff. You know, yesterday, what usually happens with this kind of stuff, and I can't buy them all, but like when you undercut like that and you catch everybody, and then that bar encompasses everything, Ellen, like that bar encompasses that entire move. You see it? See how that bar encompasses all of that move? Like it's really hard to not like trades like that. But when you buy this, you kind of have to, like, this is not something you can day trade, in my opinion. It's very difficult unless it breaks down. But you're seeing those moves everywhere, like PANW, like that. These moves are perfect. You're seeing it Microsoft, right? Like the whole space did it yesterday, right? All of them, that whole space did it. Look at that. Like the whole space undercut and then lifted. So there's definitely rotation into those names. It's just up to you whether or not you want to take the risk. And it's tough, it's tough, but there's a base here from May to June, and there's a month base, and you're breaking out of it. So it could go. It does look like it wants to go. It's just, do I really want to go through that or not? And the answer is no, I don't. I really don't. I really don't feel like dealing with that. Yeah, that WGS, I saw that yesterday, that break. The news came out. I have to read the news and go through the whole thing again. But maybe it got fills, maybe it doesn't. There's an island here you got to get through. I'm sure we all see that. PANW, definitely. The oust. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with this one, but, it's been on fire, and you guys have been doing very well with it. You guys are trading this in the room. I'm not in this. I have nothing to do with it. It looks perfect. I mean, there's your breakout, and you broke out. Like there's very little to say, and you built through it too, which is perfect. Like you broke out, doji broke down below it, lifted, doji broke out again. Like it doesn't really get any cleaner from a breakout standpoint than the tests and the retests. And you can actually even see it like right here. Like it's like perfect. Test, holds, breaks down, holds, tries to break, holds again, boom, new highs. Cool. Like it's actually perfect the way it's acting, right? So I would just say that like these kinds of names, they work until they don't. But yeah, that kind of sucker, like that can rip. I'm not familiar with what they do. I don't really care. But you need some kind of pullback, in my opinion, to really take a real position in that. But FTNT fits the whole bill that we talked about this morning, where you have these undercuts and all these software names, and they're all lifting. That wouldn't be the one that I would look at. I'd look at some of the others. I think the others are better. Oracle, I think that you finally might have seen that move down, and that might be it. But these names, again, they're always like, man, you're still in that position where like red is on top. Red means stop. So, I always want to look at these when they flip and then just kind of go, all right, well, the red's still on top. Do I really want to be there yet? And maybe I give it more time for them to flip back and take a look at it. But I get it. I say it. It's just that when they give you that warning sign, sometimes it's worth listening to. Like here, watch. But wait, there's more. So like I really wanted to buy Duolingo. And I've been eyeing it ever since, even on these drops. And I just keep watching the red, and I'm like, oh, well, the red's still up there. So they tried, failed, red, trying right on these pushes, but these pushes don't have anything behind them. There's no oomph, there's no stability with them, right? And then it just rolls right back over again. So, when I see those crosses like that, I want to pay attention. I'm more interested in buying pullbacks, like when I'm up and then I pull back into like that's way more interesting to me. Like, oh, I'm up and I pulled back into it. Like those areas are way more interesting than when I get like this. So, 500 is always not 500, right? So that's definitely the way that I look at it. Like, that's kind of where my head is with Detroit. I like the name. Like if you're looking long-term, dude, just buy it and wake up in a year and you'll be happy. I saw this with AMD. That a lot of these names were, a lot of them. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, see how you're lined up and then like, oh, look, you hit the 5. I can get rid of my green little box here, get rid of all my drawings. But you see how like you hit the 5 and you're like, oh, I held, I'm under it, but everything's green and the red's catching up to it. Oh, I held, bonk. Oh, I held. Oh, I broke them, but they're all this color. Oh, I flipped back through it. Oh, buy here. Like, it's over and over again, right? Like it's so obvious. Oh, here's my doji. Oh, I couldn't break. Oh, there's my bullish engulfing on the 8 and the 5. Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll buy stock here. I mean, it's not rocket science. And then it holds, and then that's pretty much it. And now everyone will want to buy it today instead of waiting for another mean tweet. So that's how I would use them, right? You should use them how you're comfortable with. But yeah, I see this. I see the thing. Like for a week, we've been stalking, like, here's a great example. For a week, we've been stalking Micron. And, one of the guys yesterday is like, hey, it finally did it. And when it broke down, that was it. If you wanted to buy calls, this was the day, not here. So you just have that patience. See how they're all still aligned? That's why when people say, oh, I won't buy because it's below the 5, it's so stupid. Like, I don't know how else to say it. It's all about how it's acting relative and which way it's going up. And then how it is correlating with other moving averages, right? And I'm not the brightest bulb, but that's why I have green. Green on top means go. When red's on top, it means stop. And, I don't know, maybe that's something you should look at. just an idea, color coding, like Garanimals, I don't know whose mom used to take them to Sears for Garanimals, but that was the day. Back in the day. Circle, well, I mean, you can't be shocked, right? Like, it's not going to go up forever. I did think you were going to get a 3 handle yesterday. That didn't happen. I mean, it's not realistic for this thing to just constantly go up. I mean, you're going to have down days. The question is, how do you hold at that 232 level? That was an issue. And I just start looking at these reversal areas, 232, 209, both of those are very possible. And I'd be looking at being on the other side of that. That 209 was beautiful when it happened. Absolutely beautiful. And I do think that can happen again. I don't know why anybody would touch the, I should do Rocket Labs because I know you guys are watching stuff. I like Rocket Labs a lot. I like ASTS a lot. My larger position's the ASTS. I don't think that you need to do anything here. Off the rip. I think you just kind of have to chill. Like I look at ASML and I really like the name, but you're 1 tweet away, man. You're 1 tweet away right now. So I bought it here. I see it. I see it's testing, but still declining. So I watched the decline, but I bought it here. And I was up like about, at one point I was up like $80 in it. I didn't take it and I wound up getting stopped out of it. Because I want to stay in these. Like when they break the weekly 200, like they can go and you can stay in them forever. Sometimes like here it was like 430 and then you went all the way up to like 600. You can stay in these things for a while. It broke here and you can say it. And then from there, 690, like you never really had to worry about this thing for a period of time. Even down here where you test and then you go from there and then you rip again. I tried this one. It didn't really do what I wanted to do, and I wound up taking a loss on it. I'm kind of apprehensive here because I just think Letnick's going to do something again. So, these guys love their look at me moments. So I think you're going to get another look at me moment. He's going to say, I'm going to play hardball. Watch me play hardball with China. It's just it's just the environment we're in. So do I really want to be around that? And here's how you have to look at this. Like, this is where you were on June 11th, 800. This is where you were, Friday at 736. So are you willing to take 80-point swings in the name? Because somebody sneezes or say, I might do something. Like, you have to ask yourself that before you get involved with it, man. Are you willing to have 80-point swings for no reason? If not, find other names. And this boils down to that whole sector. Like, all this did was pull right back to support, KLAC, which is perfect. But, here's support. Here's your doji. If you flip the doji, it's on, right? There's the trade, and the trade either works or it doesn't. But, and all you have to do here is just mark that off. But what you want to do with this is like, yeah, maybe it goes, maybe it doesn't. But if you flip the doji, then maybe you're going to left. So, stuff like that. But up here, I'm a genius. I buy breakouts. I'm so smart, right? And you buy these breakouts. And then what happens? Lutnick says, I might do something. And then boom. Okay, well, now you're down 60 points. And it's just that kind of market. You have a ton of headline risk. And, their punching bag or pinata is semiconductors. So it is what it is, man. What's up, Journal? No, I think that what you're going to see is I do think that you're leaning towards some kind of rate cut. I don't know that you need to be in DPST, but I think you're better off looking at the regionals if that's of interest. But, he's going to say some things today, and regionals are going to be all over the place. What's up, Sam? You'll see what he says today. Good morning from Virginia. Good morning from Miami. KEP. It's too thin for me. I know a lot of guys are trying to play that. The Oscar's interesting, but I think it's overplayed at this point. He's always selling the stock. Is this a benefit? No, they're selling their stock, and they're just going to keep dumping stock. I don't know why people are obsessed with this. I mean, they clearly lied to everybody. So like, I don't know why people are still trading this thing like it's going to have a second coming. I really don't. Like, I don't get it. I'm not saying you can't pop or whatever, but they completely lied. And they redid their books and said everything's fine. And these are our guides. And then they came out and they cut their guide by 20%. So clearly they knew that was coming. And all they did was sell their own stock while that was going on. So, no, they're just going to dilute the living heck out of the shares now until they can get out alive as much money as they possibly can. And, chips fall where they may. But I would be chasing it. So I don't know why you would be in a hurry to get out of it. Like, what's the hurry to get out of it? You're making too much money? Like, why? I mean, like, why? Base. BASE. Oh, I don't know. What's it, a couch company? I have no idea, man. Did they get bought out or something? Or is that earnings? It's not earnings. They must have had a buyout or something. Circle we went through. What's up, Steven? What's going on? So what you always want to do, I don't know when the offering price was, but just mark wherever the offering price was. And if you're not above that, just be careful. Like, I want to buy this OKLO. Like, I keep stalking it, right? Like, I really want to buy it. But I know that 60 is going to be an issue because they did a secondary there. So I already know that I have to wait for that. I use a 12, a 22, a 55. Did he post again? Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Right. So here we go again. So that's what I'm saying. I'd be careful. I think Sophie's a great trade. I think people need to understand that they own an innovative regional bank company. I think it's really that simple. I think if you can wrap your head around that, they're not reinventing finance like Coinbase or something like that, but that you own a regional bank that's a very strong regional bank that's run by someone that really knows what they're doing. Like Anthony Noto's really smart dude, really smart dude. And ex-Goldman used to work at Twitter, like C-level exec. Like, this thing's going to be around for a while, but you own a regional bank that offers a lot of products and services. You don't own a company that's like, issuing stable coins. Like, you got to just think about it for a second. What do you own? And that's why it moves the way that it does. So, but I like it a lot. XYZ, I went in touch. I own AVGO. We own it a lot cheaper. There's nothing to do with it, man. Just leave it alone. Netflix I own, but do you really want to chase it? Like, where's the edge? Like, I think you have to be super careful. Like, it's so interesting watching the comments because Hims is a pig. Like, Hims has got real problems. And you have a Blackmore Boozer on a chart. Like, it doesn't really get more uglier than that. So I think you got to be super careful of like the gap ups. I really do. If you take one thing from this, I would take this from it. I got to jump, guys. I got to hop in the room. Trade to win.